Oh, scary. Oh, how's everyone tonight? Ooh. Oh, my name's Quinlan. What is this concoction? I'm sure you're asking. Oh, what I'm going to do tonight is talk about a few compositional techniques of some famous people. Oh, what the hell was that? Hello, hello, hello. Wah, 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 wah. Now, hello. As I said, my name is Quinlan. Welcome to Melbourne Musos live. All right. And what I'm going to do tonight, the last couple of lessons I've been doing 3 ways to rhythm, skill sets, things you need for bands, all sorts of different things. Now, some of our favourite bands, some of the songs we play and love all the time, have within them some very interesting and innovative effects compositionally, okay? And what goes on is that when you're actually playing, all right, so what happens is I'll just play a rock beat, actually. Now, I've got some esoteric, don't you love that word, esoteric? How you going, Eric? Oh, I'm fairly esoteric, or Derek, there you go. Lame. But anyway, European folk kit. The plane! I've done that already. Oh. Now, there's the sounds. Rock beat. Little bit. On the funky side, but if I keep it straight, kind of thing. Some compositions will get you to do that in different ways. Now, in the most basic rock beat kind of, I'm in a band way, basic rock beat, you could go open, suppose I better start with that, ride, floor tom, move it. Oh, dear Rob Hirst is a master of that. Mwah. I hope you're doing okay, mate. So there you go. I'll mention you a lot. And there you go. But what it is that's just the rock beat. But what happens is if you're playing some esoteric kind of stuff, you might need to turn around, you see. So in many ways, dear old Doris here, the big ass drum kit, is a little bit like the Ark. There's 2 of everything, you see. You've got a ride cymbal here and a ride cymbal there. Why? Open style. Sometimes you need to turn things around. Now I'm going to go to the trusty mallets. Now, sometimes what you're doing is you might be doing something a little bit atmospheric. All of a sudden, the hi-hat is taking the place of different timbre. With so much of what I do, and especially when you're doing other stuff like the Frank Zappa business like that, it's good to keep a hand free. And all of a sudden things start to happen, you see. How am I going to do that? No! Yes! And what I often say, if I just go sideways a little bit, is that cymbal placement can be a bit important. The reason being is you might be doing boom ba do do ba da do da do da like that, and you're ending up on just a simple, in that case, a 16-inch crash. But when the guitarist in the band hears, oh, I love that cymbal. Can you play that when I hit this chord? And you're going, what am I going to do? So placement is quite important to do. Sometimes you need to change the sticking. So if you've got to hit that on the fourth beat, it might be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Paradiddle. And it's not paradiddle as a rhythm, like, which I've explained 100 times, but it's more the tool shed, the toolbox. Okay, making sure that you've got the right sticking, which I did last week, Stick Control by George Lawrence Stone, in the sense that the paradiddle will give you the wherewithal to get around there. If you're always, right-handed, it's a little bit like being only right-footed. If you're a footy player and you're busy trying to always get on your right foot, and no left foot to kick with. What happens if you've got a great forehand in tennis but your backhand's lousy? You want to try and have everything even. So hence the arc. 2 hi-hats. All this sort of stuff. 2 rides. Okay, Chinas. There you go. You see. Now you don't need that. I need that for this show because every week there's something different, you see. But when you're going out with your good old 5-piece, of which Delilah is in the other room there, the white one. But what happens is that you work your sounds out and you get your positioning going. So sometimes I'm in a position when I'm starting to do these kinds of things, when I'm starting to use the piccolos here. They're tuned to a pentatonic, and the way that I have it set up is I can look at that like my guitar. If you're going to tab it out, 1-4, 1-3, 1-3 on any kind of pentatonic. 1-4, 1-3, 1-3 as a pentatonic. I take requests. So when I'm doing things like this, and then all of a sudden, well, all of a sudden, that's starting to become an upside down rock beat because I'm doing the rock, the what would normally be. Get it? Got it? Good. There you are. And that gives it an extra layer, you see. And then what happens then is that you start to move it around. Hence the two of things and that sort of business. Now I'm going to talk about technique now. And compositional technique, okay, on which we use things. Now when I'm talking about things like that, I'm going to bring up 4 people that are wonderful, okay. Now, as everyone knows, I'm a bit of a Frank Zappa nut, a devotee, I suppose. I've got everything. I don't need 16 versions of Dynamo Hum. At some point, I stopped. I did stop. I go, oh, yeah, here we go again. All right. Okay. Yeah. I know it. Cool. I'm glad it's a little bit different from the tour the month before, whatever it is. But that's one of the things. Also with King Crimson is a big one, in the sense that every show was different, so much improvisation and all that. So, you know, people would buy every one, you know, that kind of thing. The second is the Beatles. The third is, funnily enough, Jimi Hendrix. And the fourth is Led Zepp. Okay. Now, I've got a bit of vinyl here, which I'm going to show you. What I've got, I'll start with Zappa. And one of the things is his album Lumpy Gravy. And Lumpy Gravy is often regarded as his first solo album, going away from the Mothers of Invention. And so much of this is a combination of a pastiche of different things, in and out and around, doing all sorts of different things. And a lot of music concrete, found sounds, and found, in this case, found percussion, all this stuff. And one of the techniques is where exactly you would turn things around, you know, like I've just sort of done. If you've got a rock beat, turn it around. Up here. Now that could easily be, if I go back to shticks, mate, that could easily be, ooh, ah, ooh. Ah, ooh. Again last week, love my continuity, stick control. I've done it already. Ugh. So that's what starts to go on, you see. And what happens is that one of the things that both Frank Zappa did and the Beatles did well, let's say Sgt. Pepper's. I've got the vinyl. I couldn't find it before this, so it's buried in my vinyl somewhere. But I don't know where I put it. I haven't lent it. No, I've got it there somewhere. But you know, things like I Buried Paul and all this stuff. You know, tape. George Martin would get the tape, reel-to-reel tape, and get, you know, strips of it and throw it up in the air. Who saw that doco once upon a time? Then he'd splice it together, and you had the orchestra going backwards and forwards, in between, all this business. Now, one of the people who sort of did that again was Frank Zappa. And this one is Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, which is very, very famous. It was a complete surprise to Frank Zappa that it was successful. He thought it was for fans only. People would say, give us more guitar solos. All right, well, I'll give you some more guitar solos. And it took off. And hence he put out a second set. It's a triple album, but he put out a second set just called Guitar. And when he was sick towards the end, he put out a third set called Transfusion, which was a play on transfusion because he would be getting them regularly and all that. So he even had humour right to the end. And they were solos taken from his last big tour in 1988. And there you go. And his engineer would often say, "Oh, it's the Ampex guitar." For those of you who don't know, Ampex was the preeminent reel-to-reel tape. I've got a whole cardboard, don't we all? A cardboard box of them in the other room. And what it was he'd get people like Vinnie Colaiuta to play, and he'd peel off so many of the songs, not all of them, but for so many of them. He peeled off a solo that he actually liked and actually put them over the top randomly over some of Vinnie Colaiuta's concoctions. And that's what he'd do. And a lot of... there was one off of Shake Your Booty called Rubber Shirt. And it was Terry Bozzio and the bass player. I'll remember his name. I'll put the picture up there. And essentially he just took a Terry Bozzio track and the bass player's track and put them together, and it was like, wow, polyrhythmic, wow. And there's also a track on the Uncle Meat album where it's quite funny because he would be getting, say, Jimmy Carl Black to play 5, drummer 2 is playing in 3/4, bass player is playing in 7, and the alto saxophone player is blowing his nose. Ian Underwood. And, a la Anthony Braxton and John Coltrane. And it'd be dunk, 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 dunk. All this business. And you had something like 6 different time signatures going. It's off Uncle Meat. There you go. And what would happen is that things would be getting turned upside down and around and all that. You can do the math. I mean, when you're doing a simple polyrhythm like 3 against 2, it's 6, 3 times 2, common denominator. But if you're doing things like with your right hand doing, say, like 5, all of a sudden things get dynamic. And what starts to happen is a few episodes ago, I talked about, banana. Okay, and the psychedelic section in the middle of Whole Lotta Love, where you had Bonham's hi-hat, so on it goes, you see, and away you go. And that's the same kind of deal. Jimmy Page liked his theremin, the little... So does Jack White. 3 Stooges, sorry. 1 Stooge. what I'm doing there is kind of a rolling shuffle, which I did a couple of episodes ago. Continuity, I tell you. This time I'm playing to win. Dance to that. So what happens is that you get things like that in a more sort of silly way, but at the time it was a revelation. You're thinking about the times. You're thinking about Led Zeppelin's second album, 1969. You're talking about Sgt. Pepper's, 67, and things like 1968 with the naughty cover. Jimi Hendrix's Electric Ladyland. Don't look at it. It's naughty. But what happens is that you have a track, 2 tracks, in fact, called, on this side it's third side, 1983, A Merman I Should Turn to Be. And then the next one, Moon, Turn the Tides Gently, Gently Away. Bit of a story about that particular track. Don't look. Hello, ladies. Oh, sorry, pardon me. Bit of a thing to that. He and Eddie Kramer did this wonderful pastiche and all sorts of different things running in and out, and it's wonderful. And it's 1968. That's my point. Beatles, 67, sort of thing. Sgt. Pepper, 67. You've got that, 68. The psychedelic bit of Led Zeppelin 2, Whole Lotta Love, 69. Then you've got Lumpy Gravy, exactly plonked right in there and continuing with Frank Zappa. You would put it in everywhere. It was part of his compositional technique. And what it would be was... Jimi Hendrix, or what happened was Eddie Kramer, he put it, the famous Eddie Kramer of Electric Ladyland Studios, and wonderful stuff. And so Jimmy took the finished product, the reel-to-reel tape, home to listen to, that kind of thing. He left it on the subway. He left it on the train. So he had to go back the next day, and it was only one day to send the tape off to the company, kind of thing, to press the record. So they tried to remember what they did, and they did it all in just one day. It's very funny. Now that's the kind of thing. Now I'm going to go a bit different now. Things upside down, I could easily call this. There's the beat. Nine Inch Nails, Fragile album, a modern day masterpiece, although it was year 2000, but still wonderful. Go have a listen to that, all the ins and outs. And then, I haven't mentioned him for a while, but a Mike Patton, famous for Faith No More, but one of his side projects, but became a thing of itself, is Fantomas. Very pointillistic, meaning bits and pieces. Get the sampler up. then Philip Glass, people like that, Steve Reich. Minimalism, oft repeated phrases. There you go. So, very weird show tonight, but if I'm pulling up albums like The Naughty Cover, Electric Ladyland, Don't Look at It, and Led Zeppelin 2, Frank Zappa, Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, Mate, and then Lumpy Gravy, and then the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's, put it there. Okay, and it's in there somewhere. I'm going to find it. I'll go OCD. I'm going to find it and play it. So that's what it is. They all do it. So I'm showing you the techniques of some of the most beloved albums, you know, that kind of thing. And then to start to finish off, I've used people of now, Mike Patton, Trent Reznor. If I'm going classical, I can talk about with pointillism. You can go back to classical people like Anton Webern, people like that, and Schoenberg, and then you've got Philip Glass, who's there, and Steve Reich, who are the masters of minimalism, you see. And that's these kinds of techniques. You might have just one thing. And as I said, to start off with, it could be a rock beat, right? With the patches, that's okay. So I better wrap the show up, hadn't I? My name is Quinlan. This crazy kind of show is turning things upside down using techniques like xenochrony, putting separate things together a la Frank Zappa, Beatles, Hendrix, Led Zeppelin. There you go. I hope you got something out of it. Right, rock beat, open style, turn it around, pointillism, minimalism. Oh my Lord, it keeps on going. Oh! All right, I'll love and leave you. Now for a nice glass of...